Yes.
All right, so we are back on the record. Sir, you remain under oath. Did you have any cross-exam, Mr. Gutierrez?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
You know how this works, right? I ask questions, you answer. Now I'm going to try to frame some questions that are yes or no answers. If you cannot answer them yes or no, let me know, and we'll move on. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you've testified many, many times, correct?
A few.
All right, a few. Well, I want to make sure I have your background correct, okay? And you listed it on your report, okay? And I know you probably know this is coming, but I'm going to ask you anyway. You got your PhD from Columbia Pacific University, correct?
1986.
Right.
1983 to 1986.
And that was a non-traditional distance learning school in California, correct?
Yes.
All right? And it had troubles later on. It became uncredited and is now closed. Is that correct?
That was about 11 years after I graduated.
Well, I understand that.
Okay.
I get it, but it was closed. It closed in 2000, correct?
I don't remember when it closed.
And you graduated, and you got this in 1983, correct?
I got it in 1986 when it was approved by the California Department of Education and the United States Department of Education.
So but you didn't list that when you didn't list where you got your PhD from. And that's in criminology, correct?
I'm sorry. Where do you see that I haven't listed where I got my doctorate degree?
He's saying where you got it from, or from where you got it.
You didn't list Columbia Pacific University in your report.
You have my resume, do you not?
I didn't ask you that, did I, sir?
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm asking you about your report.
Okay.
Thank you. And sir, I want to make sure I got some things right here. You do not have any type of degrees. You're not a licensed psychologist, correct?
Yes.
Psychiatrist, correct?
Yes.
You're not a lawyer, right? You don't have a Juris Doctorate?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure about your credentials. And you train police a lot, right?
I have, yes.
Okay. And you continue to do that now, correct?
Yes.
And you also train military, did you not?
I have in the past. I don't do it anymore.
Okay. And would you agree or disagree with me there is a big difference between military training and civilian police training?
Depends.
Yes or no, sir? There is no difference.
Yes. I'm sorry, Counselor. There is no yes or no. It depends.
So you're telling me they're the same?
Depends on what the subject is that the military is learning versus the police.
So you're telling me civilian police training is similar or like military training?
In certain subjects, yes.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Would you not agree with me or disagree with me that in military you were trained to eliminate the threat?
Depends.
Okay. And in civilian policing in the United States, you're trained to neutralize that threat.
You're trained to stop the threat.
Neutralize.
Stop the threat. I'm the policeman. Stop the threat.
Okay. Does that mean eliminate?
It depends.
Okay. I guess I'm going to get that from you a lot, aren't I?
Depends on the question.
See, there you go. I knew that. Just having a little fun, Judge. And you're a firearm instructor, are you not?
Yes.
Okay. I want to go, before I go into the firearms thing, you have mentioned in your report multiple times it's more likely than not. You remember that terminology in your report?
Yes.
Could you give me a percentage of what that means? Is that 50%, 60%, 40%? What does more likely than not? What does that mean? Give us some type of frame of reference.
51% or more.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Now, you're a firearms instructor, correct?
Yes.
Certified?
Yes.
You've taught that?
Yes.
Okay. And you are familiar with the Glocks that we're talking about now?
Yes.
Glock 17?
Yes.
Do you know what Glock that Cynthia Moore was carrying that night?
I believe she had a Glock 17.
Okay. How about Officer Brelo?
I don't recall.
Okay. So, and again, I'm not trying to be precise here with you, but generally speaking, when you shoot a Glock, the casings go to the right and back. Would you agree with me on that?
Oh,
Depends on how you're holding the gun.
Right. There are a lot of variables.
Yes.
How you hold the gun, right?
Yes.
What else?
How you're moving.
Okay. Sir, I'm going to show you it's marked for identification purposes as Defense Exhibit M. Okay. Are you familiar with this study, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And the findings say of the 7,670 bullets fired, over 25% of the spent cartridge casings landed somewhere other than to the right and rear.
Depends on the environment. Depends on many things. It depends on how the weapon is manipulated. It depends on...
Sir, I'm talking about this. This particular study. That's all I'm talking about.
All right.
I didn't ask you about the variables that you're talking about.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
And
that.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But the fact is that this study says 75% of the time, they go to the right and back.
Correct.
And the other 25% of the time, they can go other places based upon, like you were just saying, the variables.
Correct.
Be a fair statement?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, not necessarily correct. Again, sir, the environment, if you're saying 100% of the time under a controlled environment...
No, I'm not, because they had a controlled environment in this study.
That's what I'm asking.
Right, and only 75% of the time, they went back.
That's fine.
So, I guess you want to qualify and say, well, if it's an uncontrolled environment, then that percentages will go down, you're saying.
It can differ greatly.
So you have, by the way, you own Martinelli and Associates. You're the main guy,
Yes.
right? And you get paid, correct?
Yes, I have a salary.
All right, but you're getting paid right now, correct?
Yes.
For being here.
We're all getting paid. Yes. I do get paid for being here.
Some more than others, correct?
Correct.
All right? And the union is paying your bill right now, the Cleveland Policeman Union, correct?
Yes.
And you charge, what, $3,200 a day to sit here in court, right?
Yes.
Okay, do you know what your total bill for this, for all of your expertise in this case?
No.
Figure that out yet?
No.
Is it over 50?
I have no idea.
Okay, all right. And you gather a team together to address this situation when asked by Mr. D'Angelo. Would that be a fair statement?
We're talking specifically about this situation.
Yes.
Yes.
So Mr. D'Angelo calls you, says, can you help me out? You say, well, what do you got? And then if you want to get the case, then you bring in these other individuals. Would that be a correct statement?
No, I don't put it to him like that. What I do as the director and team leader is I listen to what a client has to say and determine what type of team members, if I'm even going to need team members, and if so, in what areas, what disciplines of expertise I'm going to need them in. I present that information to the client, and I allow them to make an informed decision.
So you tell them, client, based upon what you tell me, I recommend A, B, C, and D. Fair statement?
Yes.
In this case, you brought in your pathologist, right?
Yes.
Your ballistics guy?
Yes.
Your psychologist?
Yes.
And you?
Our audiologist
Your audio guy?
and me.
And Mr. Stuckman, right?
He's our audiologist.
Does he have a degree? Does he have a college degree?
I thought he has either a bachelor or a master's degree.
Are you sure about that?
I have to go back and look at his resume.
Okay. So, based upon, you are the hub, basically, of making sure you get the right people for a client, such as Mr. Brelo and the CPD unit, correct?
Yes.
You're the hub. And you rely on these other individuals for parts of your opinion, do you not?
In most cases, yes.
Okay. So all of your pieces that you put together, you guys all act kind of in concert, do you not?
Overruled.
We use a multidisciplinary, peer-reviewed approach to investigating and analyzing in cases. So,
No, you answered the question. It's multidisciplinary, but you guys act in concert. You look at a situation, correct? And then all of you do your own field of expertise to analyze it. Fair statement?
yes.
And then after you analyze it, then you guys communicate with each other, correct?
We communicate with each other during the entire course of our investigation and analysis.
Do you realize that Mr. Martini, who was in here today, stated in his opinion he talked to Dr. Posey 19 times?
Doesn't surprise me.
Okay. All right. So, and even in your opinion, that was subjected and sustained to, you make an opinion that they were dead by the time Officer Brelo shot him. That was in your report, was it not?
I don't make a medical opinion. My opinion states that according to
Dr. Posey.
Dr. Posey, these people were dead at a certain point. It's not my, it's...
So what I'm saying, sir, is you're taking Dr. Posey's findings as fact to make your opinion.
I base his medical opinion.
Sir, you accept Dr. Posey's opinion as fact, do you not?
That they were dead?
Yes.
Yes, they're dead.
Okay, and you know that that part of this trial is at issue, is a contention. Would you agree or disagree with me?
I do. I agree with you.
Right. So you take somebody that you bring in to make an opinion, and you accept that as fact of a contentious issue in a case, and then you put that in your opinion. Is that correct?
It's part of that consideration, yes.
Okay.
It's not all of it.
All right, now, sir, we're going over a firearms instructor. We're talking about Glocks a minute ago, all right? And you've seen this chart before, correct?
Yes.
Okay, if you can bring it down a little bit. And there's certain groupings of casings, correct?
Yes.
Like right here, right there, okay? And then right in here. See that?
I do.
Now, based upon where those groupings are, and Mr. Martini was in here testifying, we can kind of figure out where everybody was standing, not precisely, but where they were kind of standing. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, could you please come down for a second? And you reviewed everything, didn't you? The ballistics. And I'd like to go through and you place where all these officers were at the scene at this point in time. And I'll go through with you nice and slow. Okay? And you agree or disagree with me? Now this chart is an evidence, sir. So we can go off this chart. Maybe we have a blow up here. We can help out the one gentleman here. We'll get an easel real quick. Okay. We'll start with the pink color indicates case of Officer Diaz. Need your glasses, sir? Yeah. Mine too.
Except his won't show on that cutout.
Right. We don't have Diaz's on here. That's correct. Okay, but
his should be on that.
Yeah, we have one where Officer Diaz is a... We really haven't talked about him too much.
Well, you say you can do it slow, which is fine. I guess you have the right to, but how about doing it fast? How about putting him where Soraya opined they probably were close and see if he agrees?
Yeah, no, I would like to do that. I just want to make sure that there's no disagreement as to where to place anybody, okay? Okay. Tell me where Officer Diaz was, do you know?
Well, I believe Officer Diaz was out by the island. We have 2 expended cartridges over there, and the island's going to be over here.
Okay. All right. All right. Now then we go with Officer Brelo.
Well, Officer Brelo was in several positions.
So this final one we'd agree was on top of the hood. I mean trunk. Hood. I'm sorry. Things are moving down. There you go. We could agree on that one, okay?
His final position.
Right. Officer Moore. Can we have that up again, please? Yes. We have the groupings of Officer Moore here. She would be somewhere...
She was distracted from the vehicle.
Right.
She moved to a position somewhere around here.
Do you put her there in the line of cover, or do you put her behind here?
Well, where the cartridges is, it shows about where she was. So she's somewhere in here.
Okay. We'll argue with you on that point. The little blue men are over here. Okay, we are going down now to the green color, Officer Farley. And for evidence purposes, sir, this is Cebolic and Farley's car.
Correct.
It was testified to before.
Correct.
And that's about where they should be, right?
Approximately 40 feet.
So where's Officer Farley?
Farley extracted from here and then moved forward to a position of around here.
Did he not move up to a cover behind here?
Relatively speaking.
Okay, and Officer Cebolic was his partner.
Cebola came here, he fired, and he moved to a position somewhere.
He came around here, did he not?
Yes, he did.
And he fired shots here, correct?
Fired 2 shots from here.
Right, and he fired 2 shots when he was coming out of his car.
That is correct. He fired 4 shots.
You're right with me, sir. All right, orange color, we have Cebolic, then we have also Paul Box. By the way, based upon your review of the evidence, what gun did Paul Box use?
A shot.
You sure did. And where was he at?
Well, he subsequently moved to a position here, and then he moved to a position somewhere in front here, where he was no longer behind.
Right. He was out of cover, was he not?
He was up.
Right? Not a good thing, though, right? You don't want to come out of cover, do you?
Well, we try not to, but sometimes the exigency and the circumstances dictate something different.
Yeah, but all things considered, sir, you'd want to stay behind cover and not put yourself out in the middle and get shot.
Well, with all due respect, you're a civilian, right? And so we probably are used to taking a few more risks than you are. So sometimes we do what we need to do to accomplish our objective. So when people are shooting at us and we feel that partners are being killed, we do what we need to do to stop the threat. I don't want to use the tried and expression, but I will. Sometimes police officers and firefighters, we run into burning buildings when people maybe like yourself are running the other way.
And that's true, sir, but at the end of the day, all of our actions, especially police officers, are judged on whether they're reasonable or not, correct?
Objection. Sir, I'm not, yes, ultimately, but sometimes it has nothing to do with officer safety tactics given the exigency of the situation and the force threat.
Sir, even if there's exigency, officers' actions still have to be objectively reasonable.
Their use of force has to be.
That's correct. That's correct. All right. We can agree on some things. I guess we're at Scott Sistick, which is the brown. Remember who Officer Sistick was?
Officer Sistick came out of Unit 238, and I think he came back to this position at 238.
Okay. But did he not leave that position at some point?
Yes, he did, but he shot from here.
Okay.
And then he moved over to this position.
That's correct. That's right.
Is that what you want right over there?
No, I'm right with you. I can agree with you on that one. Demchek. Officer Demchek. And he is the green. He's right here. Right?
Let me see. I think Officer Demchek moved.
He came from a car up top, did he not?
Right, but he moved, and I don't know exactly, he came right across here, but he moved to a position that was...
He's back here, is he not? Somewhere in this area?
Yes, he did, because he came straight down.
Right. So he didn't shoot when he was coming down.
He did not.
He shot when he got down.
Well, he doesn't have the position to shoot from here.
That's true. When you've been out to the scene, right?
Yes, sir.
And there's that grassy knoll coming down there.
That's correct.
Right? Now, if an officer's coming, running, shooting down this knoll, it's not going to be very accurate, is it?
Well, officers, when they're in high-stress situations, they're very inaccurate.
Especially when you're moving down a hill.
Even when you're standing still.
But so exasperated when you're moving down a hill, aren't
I
you?
don't disagree with you.
Okay. All right, so we're moving down quickly. Detective O'Donnell, who was Demchek's partner,
came down from here and got into a position somewhere here and fired from a position over here.
Right.
Because she was striking the windshield for the patrol. I put her a little bit.
Right.
A little bit. Actually, I probably put her a little bit.
Actually, sir, Mr. Martinelli,
I'm sorry, sir.
it would be better if you could face the court reporter when you're speaking so that A,
I'm sorry,
you
come over here.
and
I'm
C would be asked.
Thank you, Ron.
So we're talking to O'Donnell.
She's probably in here somewhere.
I would agree. I would agree with that, sir. Okay. Then we have Detective Erg, or A. Erg, I'm sorry. E-R-G. Okay. Well, that one doesn't have it. Okay.
This detective came down from above
That's right, one of those cars.
and fired in here and then got into a position somewhere in here.
So his ones are up here.
Right, and he fired up here. Okay, so if you want me to put him up here where he fired.
No, because the casings aren't going to be where he actually fired.
Right.
So you're putting them down here, correct?
Right.
This casing going back generally to the right.
Correct.
And again, these are just estimates, sir. And Rinkus, Snoop is not found. I guess we're done. Thank you, sir. Go back to the... Sir, have you ever seen the scene like this with the officers all kind of... Did you ever reconstruct something like that?
Are you asking me if I've ever reconstructed something like this?
Jotted some notes down or tried to visualize all the officers where they were in this area?
I have.
Okay. And would you agree with me or not? Kind of surrounded, is he not? Is Malibu is not surrounded by police officers?
Oh, I totally agree.
Sir, and you would agree with me that you reviewed all of the statements and videos of all the officers, correct?
I did.
Okay. And in fact, did you see the maps that all the officers drew for the BCI? Did you see all those?
I think in time past I did see some of those maps.
All those maps are in evidence and show where they said that they were in. So, by the way, before I go into the factual pattern, getting back to your compensation, everybody's independent contractor?
That works for me, except for 2 employees, yes.
Okay, so if I pay you a retainer to get you, that retainer doesn't go out to any of the other independent contractors that you have?
We take the retainers for the experts, and we put it into the account, and the experts are paid in accordance with their hours and the work that they perform.
So you do share that initial retainer with all of your experts?
Of course.
And at this point in time, you have billed $135,000 for all your experts?
I couldn't begin to tell you. I'm not our CFO.
Okay. I mean, I have this, I'm going to show you Mark State's exhibits. Where are we at? So I'm just going to show you this. Let me know if this accurately represents the total building.
I wouldn't even begin to tell you, sir.
No.
I have no idea.
So if it says $9,000 for Dr. Johnson, you wouldn't know.
No, sir.
$31,000 for you.
I have no idea.
$17,000 for Mr. Martini.
Don't know.
$64,000 for Dr. Posey.
He's a doctor. I have no idea.
And $11,000 for Mr. Stutzman.
I can't tell you.
Now, sir, you know the fact pattern of this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
That night, Officer Jordan was here about outside the Justice Center, and he heard a shot, right?
Nan.
I'm sorry.
Anita.
Thank you, Judge. Correct me.
Save me from correcting you.
Right. You correct me.
No,
Jump right in.
No, I want to do that. I'm sure that you're going to give me your representation of the fact pattern.
Okay. Officer Dan thought he got shot at, right?
Correct.
And let's get something straight. There was never a gun found in this particular case, correct? By the suspects, from the suspects. Agree with me on that?
I would.
Okay. But it starts with Officer Jordan, who stopped them initially. You remember that, right?
I do.
Did not call that in, did he?
Did not.
That's a violation of procedure, correct?
I would think.
Officer Dan, he thinks he heard a shot. So Officer Jordan didn't call in. First mistake, right? It's a mistake. Should have done it.
It's not according to procedure.
Yeah, you should have called it in.
I would have.
Okay. I mean, you were in a supervisor position with officers, were you not?
I'm going to disagree with you.
So Officer Mann then hears a loud noise and thinks, he says, heard a round go off, correct?
Yes, sir.
Didn't say it was aimed at him, did he?
No.
Okay. And that starts the pursuit, right?
Yes.
But they searched all around the Justice Center and didn't find any casings. You're really aware of that?
I'm aware that no casings were found and no gun was in the car.
So, second mistake. It's a mistake.
What?
Officer Mann thought he was shot at, and he really wasn't.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
I would probably disagree with your language as to whether it's a mistake. It's a misperception.
Right.
A mistake is something that you know you're doing and you do it. With him, his perception was that there was a shot fired.
But ultimately, he was wrong.
I won't disagree with you.
So I don't know how you want to frame it, but wasn't correct. How was that?
Let's use that.
Okay. So far, within the first 2 minutes, we have two things that were not correct.
Correct.
Okay? In your report, you go through a number of things that the officers observed based upon the CAD, right?
Yes.
You talked extensively about officers reporting a gun and things of that nature, correct?
Yes.
In your report. Did you put in your report the fact that Officer Fairchild indicated that he saw a pop can in the hand of the passenger?
I did not.
Okay. You did not also put in there that he saw gloves on the passenger?
I did not.
And you did not put in there that this alleged pointing of guns could have been the passenger going like this to the police.
Objection.
Turning behind the police
Hold
on the seat going like this.
Well, first of all, the oral record should reflect that Mr. Gutierrez is holding both hands up in what might be called a position of surrender. Second, the objection is overruled.
Can you repeat that question, please?
There was evidence in this trial, I'm not sure if it's from Fairchild or Hummel, that they turned around and there was this action.
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay? Not this action, but this action. Now, the hands could have been, the officer demonstrated to the court's aware of what the actions were, but it wasn't this.
Objection.
Overruled.
He turned around in front of the court, and he went like this. He wasn't sure whether the hands were open or not. That wasn't in your report, was it? Either.
No.
Okay? Also was not in your report was the fact that that the passenger was seen hitting the driver. That wasn't in your report either, was it?
No, I don't recall that.
Okay.
No, your answer is yes, it was not in my
I told
report.
you there was evidence in this trial by an officer who said he saw that. You wouldn't disagree with me, would you?
If you're telling me that an officer came in here and testified to that, I'm not going to disagree with you.
But that wasn't in your report either.
No, because I don't recall that.
So everything that the officers perceived that night by the actions of the people in this car, every time they did something, and we're talking about the passenger, okay, was perceived as something nefarious. Would you agree with me?
I would.
Okay. Never did any of the police officers think what they were doing was not nefarious, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware of the fact that an officer came and testified and said he saw the car backfire a few times?
Yes.
Are you aware of the fact that he never broadcast that?
Correct.
Now, you're in a chase and you see a car backfire. Don't you think as an officer that should have been broadcast?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. So you mean to tell me because Officer Nan heard a loud bang from an old jalopy that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4, that an officer could be looking at that car and saying, wait a minute, it's backfiring. These guys might not be shooting at us. You don't think that's important?
Let me get this right. I'm a forensic expert, and you're asking me to speculate.
Well, sir,
Okay?
isn't that what you
I'm
did?
not going to do
Isn't that what you did in your report?
How so, sir?
Well, we'll get to all that. Believe me, we'll get to your speculations in a minute.
Fine.
But you, as a trained officer, you wouldn't think that would be something that would be significant that night?
That the car was backfiring?
Backfiring.
After another officer, who's Officer Nan, reported that there were shots fired?
A
fired.
round was popped off.
Correct.
Have you gone outside to the Justice Center and seen where that happened? It's right over here. It's right
No,
over
I've been to
outside.
the Justice Center.
Okay, there's buildings all around.
Okay, I see that.
Backfires echo, right? And so do gunshots echo.
Okay.
Right? So, sir, we have this chase, and by the way, you know what the police procedure, CPD manual says about chases? You know what their policies are? How many cars you're supposed to chase in a pursuit? Do you know?
No, that I can tell you what the national standard is.
Tell them what the national standard is.
3 vehicles.
Okay. Well, if I told you CPD was 2, that's in the ballpark, right?
Yes.
And again, you would agree with me, that type of rule is not hard and fast, depending on the circumstances. You can have more cars in the chase, correct?
You could.
Okay? Do you know what the CPD policy is for you to jump into a chase? To say, I want to get into a chase?
It should radio that you're going to get involved in the chase.
Right, you were a supervisor, right?
Yes.
And did you not manage chases yourself, pursuits?
No, not at that time. I've been involved in a few, though, I'll tell you that.
Okay, and they're stressful, right?
Yes.
Dynamic?
Always.
Fluid?
Yes.
And even in your car, you could get that tunnel vision you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Chasing.
Yes.
So isn't it not the role of a supervisor to be out of that tunnel vision, be out of that whole mindset and say, wait a minute, we got to do this right? Would you agree with me that a supervisor's job is to manage a chase,
Objection, Your Honor.
a pursuit?
Is the objection based on the fact that this is the second trial, or is it something else?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I was distracted and I lost my train of thought.
Oh, so you just threw out the word objection. Well,
It's late, Judge. I don't think anybody's paying
I'm going to
attention.
answer overruled. I mean, I think this does probably more go to the next trial.
I understand. I'm just trying to lay some foundation.
Yeah, right. That's why I'm
I
saying.
apologize, Your Honor. I just try to get to the point. So did you realize there's 62 police cars in this chase? You know that?
I don't remember the exact number. I remember there was a lot of police cars involved in this chase.
62. Evidence says 62. You take it's in the record. Okay? Believe me? 62.
If you tell me it's in the record, I'll believe you, Counselor.
Do you know how many officers were involved here?
At least 30.
Yeah. Okay. If I told you over 100, would that surprise you?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
If you tell me that there was over 100 officers involved in this, I'll take your word for it.
62 police cars, over 100 officers. Now you span a lot of time in your experience. You ever been or heard of 62 police cars chasing?
Yes, I'm involved in a case in Sacramento where I had over 62 vehicles.
62 in California, outside of California. Because we know things happen in California. We see it on TV. Outside of California, you ever seen 62 police cars?
I don't know if I could answer that for you.
All right.
I would say that it's unusual for 62.
Yeah, my point would be that is kind of unusual for a chase.
I won't disagree with that.
Okay? And all these officers thought that these individuals are armed and dangerous.
That's my understanding from what I've read.
But at the end of the day, it was all one big mistake. Judge,
But that's irrelevant to my findings and opinions.
I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just saying the reality of it is, after this night and after the investigation, this was all one mistake after another. Would you agree with me or not?
Not necessarily.
So you don't think that all these officers thinking they're getting shot at by these two individuals, and everything they did that night was interpreted as them reloading and pointing, and all that was one big mistake. It wasn't true. They didn't have a gun.
Objection.
Well, hold on a second. You say, Mr. Gutierrez, you don't care whether it's relevant or irrelevant. He does say in his report that, assuming that it is true, that basically, and I'm paraphrasing, that this was all a mistake, that the perceptions as it happens were mistaken is not relevant to his inquiry. So you can get him to acknowledge the possibility that it was all a mistake. Apparently he's not going to acknowledge that it was for sure a mistake, and I guess he's welcome to say that, certainly. But let's then go on to why it matters.
Did you know, sir, that the passenger door was C-clamped? Meaning you couldn't get out? Are you aware of that fact?
I would assume that would be the case given the damage to the vehicles.
No, I'm talking about the Malibu was found to have a C-clamp on the passenger door.
Oh.
So you couldn't get out the passenger door.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
You don't know that fact?
No, sir, I'm sorry.
If I told you that was an evidence, can you agree with me on that then?
If it's in evidence, I would.
I think we have a C-clamp somewhere. Okay? So the passenger couldn't get out of the car. She was hitting the driver. And in your report, you say they were committing felonies. What felonies, sir, was that passenger committing if she couldn't get out of that car?
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
In my report, and in my opinion, when I talk about the suspects in this case committing felonies, they absolutely did commit felonies.
Wait.
She might not have.
Well,
Counsel, you asked me a question. You
I'm
asked me a
sorry, I
question.
apologize.
And then you can follow up to say,
I'm sorry.
focus on
It's
it.
late. Go ahead, I'm sorry, so I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm good. All right?
Go, I know you're good.
All right. No, I mean, I'm good. I'll wait for you. Let me know when you're done.
What I'm saying is, in your report, you said these individuals were committing felonies.
They had committed felonies.
Well, what felony did the passenger commit? If she can't get out of the car, she's beating on the guy and pointing to the cops, what felonies did she commit?
Well, first of all, I can only tell you what the perceptions of the officers were based on what had occurred during this thing. So I'm not going to sit here and make a legal opinion for you,
I'm not
but I
asking you
will
legally.
tell you what the...
Go ahead.
Well, actually, if I may interrupt, Mr. Gutierrez, just as with Mr. D'Angelo, I don't want to tamp down your style, but you do need to let him finish. And of course, sir, because we're not, I bet we're not getting a good record.
Right, I agree, Judge, and I'm sorry.
Because the court reporters suck. See that? He didn't even hear that. We are not getting a good record.
Is that in the record?
Judge, the court reporter admonished me before he even started what you just said. So.
Anyway, pardon my interruption and my facetiousness.
Okay. Sir, there is evidence for what I'm telling you about. Passenger door couldn't get out. The passenger was beating on the driver. Okay? One could come to a conclusion that she wanted out and couldn't get out.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Another inference could be made. Okay? Now, I'm trying to ask you, what felonies did she commit? She wasn't driving.
Okay, you took a breath. My turn, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, the officers were aware that the suspects in the suspect vehicle had committed felonies. First of all, we had, don't forget, we're dealing with the officers' objective, reasonably objective beliefs, right?
Right.
So we have officers...
Even if they were mistaken.
Well,
Right.
we have Officer Nan reporting at the Justice Center that a shot was fired. Okay? So that shot could have been fired at a person. That would be a felony in the mind of the officer.
But who shot?
It doesn't matter who shot. The vehicle comes by, Officer Nan associates the shot with the vehicle that's passing. It's
Right.
not a coincidence. Okay,
Right.
It's something that happened.
Correct.
I'm still talking here.
I am right with you.
All right. Now, that's a felony in the officer's mind according to their education, training, and experience. Now, the officers get into a pursuit. They activate red lights and siren, and the car speeds off. Okay? This is an elongated pursuit. That's a felony. The reckless driving in concert with excessive speeds, endangering people on the roadway, that's another felony.
But
Now,
she's
you're
not
counting.
driving.
Wait a minute. Now, you're counting, right, Counselor?
I'm counting.
Okay, here we go, because we're up to 3 felonies right now. Okay?
I'm still trying to figure out who committed it, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So now we've gone into a vehicle pursuit, and now the suspect vehicle rams an unmarked detective vehicle.
Can we stop here?
Sure.
Can I let you go? Did you review Officer Fairchild's statement?
I believe I did.
Okay. And Officer Fairchild indicated for the court right here that he was on the inside of the car, and this car tried to escape going down a road, and it hit him right like that. Officer Fairchild hit the car. The car didn't hit that.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Okay? So no felonies there.
Okay, well, we're talking about the officer's perceptions, right? That's where I'm coming from, right? I believe there was a radio broadcast, and I can't remember if it was Sergeant Coleman, but somebody reported that the suspect vehicle rammed a unit. Am I wrong there?
Well, you're right.
Okay, well, guess what?
Context.
Well, wait a second, Counselor. That's felony number 4. Okay, now you're counting with me,
Okay,
right? Because we're up to
all right.
4 felonies right now.
Okay.
Okay? So, after that, we get into the school grounds, and now the vehicle goes out of control, hits the raised divider there.
Do you know how that happened?
I'm not concerned with how it happened. I'm concerned with what the officer's perception was of what happened.
You're not concerned that Officer Diaz pitted them and spun them around?
My understanding was that the vehicle hit the raised curb and spun out of control, and then subsequently, Officer Diaz extracts from his patrol car, and then the vehicle revs up and starts coming at Officer Diaz. Okay? That's another felony. That's felony number 5. Officer Diaz felt that this 3,500-pound vehicle coming towards him was a deadly weapon. And the officer, and I believe he also thought that the passenger was reaching down to maybe get a weapon And his collective knowledge, based on the radio broadcast, is that number one, a shot had been fired. Number two, they had been brandishing a handgun more than one time, and there was at least 3 or 4 broadcasts to that, so it would be objectively reasonable in that officer's mind to believe vehicle coming at him, armed, dangerous, shots fired, desperate suspects, 4 felonies at that point being committed.
Where'd you get desperate from?
Oh, I'm going to tell you something. You're driving down the highway and you're going down the roadway. You're going 120 miles an hour and you're blowing through stop signs. And somebody, even using your term, somebody tried to pit that vehicle and the vehicle continues on. And, we're at huge excessive speeds now. I mean, I've driven around on your streets.
You're speculating. You don't know whether they were desperate.
I'm not speculating.
How do you know they weren't scared?
No, hold on. The question is not objectionable, but you just have to slow down the back and forth.
Okay. Sir, you're speculating whether they're desperate.
Sir?
You're speculating whether they're desperate.
I'm sorry. Did you talk to the 2 dead suspects and did they tell you that they were scared and that's why they were running?
That's why I'm saying. Did they tell you that they were terrified?
Sir?
Or desperate?
Sir, I'm only concerned about what the perception of the officers are.
And I'm still asking you, sir, after all of this, what felonies did the passenger commit?
Sir, the officers are associating both suspects in the vehicle as felons. Okay, now wait a minute. I'm still trying to answer your question. Okay. Let me know if you want to talk. I'll just sit here and let you make your statements. Let me know.
You done?
No, I'm trying to answer your question.
I'm all ears.
Okay. So they committed 5 felonies at that point, and Officer Diaz fired upon the vehicle because he believed that the passenger was reaching for a weapon to shoot him. And the driver was trying to hit him. Okay?
How do you know the driver wasn't trying to get away? How do you know, sir?
Sir, I'm only concerned about what the officers state was their mindset. I am not going to speculate here on what... That's your game. That's not mine. I'm not playing a game here. I'm trying to tell you...
What's my game, sir? Tell me what my game is. You're not going to answer my question?
Just let me know when you're done, Counselor.
Sir, I just want to ask you one question. I'm trying to get, what felony did the passenger commit?
The officer's perceptions, given everything that I've discussed with you, is that these people were desperate.
Okay.
Okay, they evaded police.
Okay.
The police officers believed that shots were fired, that the suspects were armed, that they tried to run down a police officer, that one person who was the passenger was the person that was reaching down and trying to perhaps brandish a handgun at the officer. That's why he fired. He's in fear of his life. And then the vehicle continues down the roadway. And you've got units 238 and 217. 217 containing Officer Brelo and Officer Moore, and that vehicle, and who are just posted there. They didn't engage the suspects. The suspects deliberately rammed into Unit 238, okay, which is another felony.
Trying to get away.
The officers, whether they're trying to get away or trying to ram the vehicle is irrelevant. The point is that the officers, I think, have correctly articulated a life threat.
Okay.
Okay, and now we're up to 6 felonies.
Okay.
And so that's where we are. So after that, it's talking specifically about the passenger. There's been a lot of statements by the officers that are involved that believed that Miss Williams in the car, who was the passenger, was moving, and that those were threatening gestures. They felt that she was shooting at them. She felt that she was either loading or pointing a weapon at them. Those in the officers' minds are all felonies. And those felonies in the minds of the officers, given the totality of circumstances, they believed that they had probable cause, that this was a deadly force threat, and they were going to respond, and that's what they did. So the fact that the car was C-clamped, the fact that she's beaten on Mr. Russell, the fact that she's trying to get out of the car is irrelevant if the officers believe based on everything else that's happened, that she is committing a felony and trying to shoot or kill officers.
So let's just assume this hypothetical, that Ms. Williams survived. She lived. Can you assume that hypothetical with me?
I'll do that with you.
Okay. And would you agree with me then? She committed no felonies? There's no guns in there? No gun found? No gun residue on her hands? So she would not be charged with any felonies.
You're asking me a legal question here.
Well, sir, in your opinion, you made legal conclusions in your opinion.
I will tell you that following your hypothetical, that's what it is.
Right.
She would have committed no crimes.
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, if you really want to go further, she could be classified as a kidnap victim.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
And not my hypothetical.
Using your hypothetical,
She wanted to get out. She wanted nothing to do with this.
you
Well, it's
Just
cross-exam.
Just hypotheticals.
using your hypothetical with your last statement, then I would agree with that.
Okay. Now, we're talking about Officer Diaz out here. And you said it's immaterial to you whether he pitted the Malibu or not.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because he's acting in accordance with normal police practices to try to stop a vehicle, and the police intervention tactic is the pit maneuver.
Well,
is a way of doing that.
right, but if I told you CPD policy says no pitting, would
I'm
you
aware.
disagree with me?
No, I would not, because I'm aware they don't have a pit policy.
And, well, they do have a pit policy. You're not supposed to do it, that's all.
Right.
Okay. But Officer Diaz pitted the car, and the car came up here. Okay, I can get the Malibu. You might want to use this. The car came up here, spun around, and Officer Diaz popped out of his car. You know that, right? From
I
your
do.
review? In fact, he popped out of the car when it was moving, right?
Yes, I believe so.
And he put himself wide out in the open now, didn't he?
Yes.
He put himself in the line where the car was coming.
I don't know if he was in the line where the car coming. I will give you the fact that he did extract from his vehicle, and he was out in the open.
As a police instructor, did you want any of your officers to put themselves in that situation?
Can't answer that. That's speculation on my part. I wasn't Officer Diaz. I wasn't there at that time. I don't know what he felt the risk was at that time, where he felt that it was appropriate for him to extract from his vehicle.
But you would agree with me, sir, you don't want to put yourself in the open, in a line of fire, given as an officer.
Sir, it really, I'm sorry.
You can agree on that fact, right? Nobody wants to put themselves out where they're going to get hurt.
No, sir. I can't necessarily agree with you given these circumstances, because what the officer might have felt at the time is that he's trapped inside his vehicle and Miss Williams is about to shoot him. All right?
Okay.
And so it might have been appropriate, given circumstances, that the officer felt he was safer to extract from the vehicle instead of getting trapped inside his vehicle. I don't know. There was not that much more questioning of the officer at that time.
Well, what I'm just trying to get at, sir, is just generally speaking, you don't want to put yourself as a police officer out in the open in a line of fire. I'm just talking generally, not the specific situation.
I would agree with you.
Because you don't, as a police officer, you do not want to put yourself in a position where you're going to get hurt if you don't have to.
If we're going according to your previous statement that we're talking in general circumstances and nothing related to this, I would agree with you.
Okay? And sir, I will try to let you know if it's specific to this circumstance as far as talking generally, okay?
I appreciate that, sir.
Now, sir, on page 12 of your starts on page 11. You're talking about Officer Brelo. You're going through the facts of the case, correct, during this part of your report?
Yes, sir.
Okay? And you said on page 11, he then disengaged from his unit. All right, this is Officer Brelo. He's here. All right, he fires into there.
Yes.
The perceived threat, as you talked about. Gets out of his car and goes here. Correct? Behind 238. And he fires while he's going. Correct?
Yes.
All right. And these are your words. Disengaged from this unit to position of enhanced safety behind Patrol Unit 238. Isn't that what you said?
Yes.
So this is a position, in your words, of enhanced safety. Right back here.
Compared to where he was.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the magazines for a second. In your opinion, where did he expend his first magazine?
I can only go with what Officer Brelo indicated because we don't have the evidence of magazine collection or the documentation
Right.
where those magazines were collected.
You'd like to have that, wouldn't you? Where the magazines were around there?
It would help. It would help.
Yes, it would. So, where did he expend his first magazine?
According to Officer Brelo, he expended his first magazine in the car. At least that's where he reloaded.
Sir, would you be surprised that in his statement he said his gun jammed in the car?
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
Okay, he said he thought the gun jammed and he had to reload inside the car. After firing 5 or 6 shots.
Many officers and officer-involved shootings report similar circumstances. That's not an unusual statement to me whatsoever.
Okay. Going back to this exhibit, and what's the number, Erica?
I'm sorry, that's 10. 1043.
Going back to 1043. There you go.
Yeah.
Now this officer...
There we go.
Okay, back up there. Okay. Officer Brelo's car, right here, right?
Yes.
If he fired that first magazine in his car, would you not expect to find casings all around in the car and here? Yes or no?
Yes.
We did not find casings all around there. We found a few.
Objection.
Well, what do you mean all around there? Do you mean all around the inside the car?
217. Inside the car, out around the car, we did not find 17 shots, one in the barrel, right? 18. He expended 18 shots that first magazine, right?
Yes.
We did not find 18 casings around here, did we? According to the forensics, there's not 18 casings around there. Would you agree with me?
Oh, but let me, this is for my purposes as a finder of fact, because I'd like to understand your question. You're saying, does he agree that 18 casings were not found inside the car or inside plus nearby?
To even narrow that down, where you would expect to find 18 casings ejecting from the right or even to the left?
Well, more to the point, forgetting their direction. If he fired 18 shots in the car, do you have an opinion where those casings should wind up?
If you fired any number of casings inside the car, we would expect to find casings in and about the vehicle.
18. At least multiple.
We're assuming that the officer had a fully loaded magazine, which is often not the case with officers. They usually download by 1 or 2 rounds, so they don't put excessive stress on the springs of the magazine. But I will tell you again that wherever an officer, if he fires a weapon inside of a car, it would be reasonable to expect to find casings inside that vehicle. If he fired that weapon slightly outside of the car or outside of the car, then we would expect to find casings around that area where the officer had discharged his firearm.
We did find 2 casings underneath the car. Would be reasonable, right?
That's fine.
And a couple out here. But if he expended, isn't it a fact, sir, that the forensics of where the casings were found, that he did not expend his first magazine in that car?
Overruled.
First of all, sir, the only thing I can tell you, again, is that we don't have the evidence of the magazines, okay? I'm working off of what Officer Brelo states that he did. Now, with regards to the forensics of the magazines, I've been out to that scene, and I can tell you that when a magazine is when a cartridge is ejected outside the port of the gun, that's where the cartridge leaves the receiver. Depending on what it strikes, whether it's an object like a vehicle or if it lands on the ground, it can bounce, it can move around, okay? So we are going to find, if a bullet is fired and a cartridge is ejected from the gun, we should be able to, account for cartridges. Now, I've been in many, many crime scenes, and I've had many conversations with Mr. Martini and other ballistics experts and firearms instructors, and I will tell you categorically, we don't always find all the cartridges that are at crime scenes, because crime scenes are absolutely destroyed by officers at the scene, by emergency medical responders. There's all sorts of things that happen at crime scenes where all cartridges are not accounted for.
Sir, and I'm going to get to this point, okay? I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there are, I believe, a few on the collar here, okay? On the outside. But here, when he's inside the car shooting, 1, 2, 2 underneath, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sir, the forensics do not back up the fact that he shot the first magazine in the car. Yes or no? Do you agree with that or not?
Sir, I think that...
yes or no, sir? Do you agree with that or not?
I don't know what to answer you, sir.
So you can't answer yes or no?
I don't think I can answer yes or no for that.
So he gets out of the car, correct? Goes here to a position of what you say, enhanced safety. Okay?
Better safety than where he was.
Sure. But I'm just using your words, sir, not mine.
And I'm trying to explain what they mean.
Sure, Mr. D'Angelo, come up and let you explain that, sir.
Well, he doesn't have to. I already said enhanced compared to inside 217.
Right. So he's here. Okay? And for my purposes, okay, for my hypothetical, you don't agree that the first magazine wasn't shot in the car, correct? You're saying it was.
The only thing I can tell you, sir, is...
Sir, it's yes or no. You say in your report that the first magazine was expended in the car.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay? Follow me. Assuming that it wasn't, for my purposes of my question, okay?
All right.
That he's shot as he went by. Nobody's going to disagree with that. Okay? He's behind there. So he still has his first magazine in it. He's got to reload back here, correct?
According to your hypothetical.
But he even says that he reloads back here.
My indications from his statements are he got his second magazine there.
Right. But he's saying he got jammed here, disengaged his magazine, reloaded, came across here, and reloaded here. That's what Officer Brelo says. Would you agree with me on that one?
Correct.
Okay. But if he didn't unload that first magazine in the car, and then he reloaded here for the first time, you follow me?
Okay.
Okay. And he expended shots here. He says he expended shots here. Correct?
Yes.
Then in my fact pattern, he would then have to reload when he's on the trunk. Correct? In my fact pattern.
When he is when he shot all out of his second magazine?
His second mag is gone here.
Okay.
He's got to get to his third one. He's up here.
Okay.
Okay?
For the record, I'm sorry, Mr. Gutierrez, you referred to the trunk of 238.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. Mr. D'Angelo. So he had to reload on the trunk then.
According to your hypothetical. Okay.
And in fact, yes or no, the forensic backed that up because all of his casings are to the right here. Look where all his casings are. We don't find any casings back here, do we?
I will agree with you.
Right. So, sir, then the fact pattern that I just proposed to you, is it not, yes or no, backed up by where the casings were found?
Objection.
I would have to say not necessarily, sir,
Okay.
because I'm also
Well, you said no, sir. That's all I asked you to do, say no.
Let me interrupt you for one moment. Do you have a rough estimate?
Yeah, probably, I'm going to be a little longer, Judge, so if you want to quit now, that'd be a good
Meaning
time.
what, 30 minutes or so?
I'd say probably another hour. So if you want to quit, this is a good time to quit, Judge.
You know, we'll go off the record for a second. Rob, I forgot to ask you and Nancy, do you guys have some commitment tonight? I may be too late anyway, right, to ask you that.
We just have to get this done.
Well, we're off the record. Here's what we'll do. Let's take a quick 5-minute break. We'll go till 7 o'clock. Whatever you do, but at least we'll save half an hour tomorrow. So you are, of course, your original flight was 5:45?
Well, no, sir.
Oh, you changed it already?
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it still. If we can do it,
What time's the
leave
original
tomorrow morning. My flight is. I think it's at 8. I think it's at 8 o'clock.
I don't think we're going to get this done tonight. But,
Well, I'm here for you, Your Honor. So
No, I
tell
appreciate
me
it.
what you need.